What interests you the most? What do you want to find out more about? The possibilities are practically endless. Today, we are going to begin the research essay writing assignment. Are you ready to begin? Now, I don't want you to picture yourself spending long hours in the dark, unfriendly recesses of the library, feeling as if you are chained to an impossible project. That is definitely the wrong way to look at this assignment. Instead, I want you to think about the possibilities that this assignment will set before you. Instead of saying, I've got to research and write another essay, think of this activity as an opportunity to open your mind to some newfound knowledge that is nothing short of amazing or wonderful. I have intentionally designed the path to the completion of this project to take more than just a day or two. Anytime I have the opportunity to take extra time, I do so. Not because I want to drag things out, but because anything worth doing is worth doing right. With that thought in mind, this one writing assignment will stretch throughout chapters 10 and 11 of this course. And this lesson will focus only on the first step of the process. Therefore, the objective for today reads, plan and research for a research essay using strategies given in this lesson. And with that, we are ready to launch our quest for more knowledge. Beginning a research essay is really no different than beginning any other essay. So the first step is to choose what you are going to write about. You need a topic. And as I hinted at a few moments ago, the sky is the limit. There is almost no topic under the sun that cannot be investigated further. You will want to keep in mind that your essay needs to follow the 5-paragraph essay format we talked about much earlier in this course. That means you will basically need to have an introductory paragraph and a final concluding paragraph with 3 solid, well-written, and thorough content paragraphs in between. Maybe you are currently at a loss for what you could possibly research for a topic on a paper of this size. If that is the case, stay tuned. I've provided a few suggestions. First, you could choose a topic that many people, or for that matter, the whole world wonders about. Did a topic come to mind already? If not, I have prepared a video for you with several topics on several different areas of interest. Maybe that'll help you get started. As you watch, I would just sit and listen. Don't try to write down all of these possibilities. You'll find that they will be listed much too quickly to write them all down. Rather, just sit and listen and see if one of them just doesn't jump out at you as that magic possibility.
The settlement of Jamestown.
How did God use the voyage of Columbus to change the world? How did diet affect early settlers' health, families, and lifespans?
How availability of materials like water, proper soil, and useful trees affected early settlements.
Where do names of places in the United States come from?
The effect of diseases brought by settlers on Native Americans.
The idiom Geronimo.
Using math functions to track the progress of disease.
Diseases that were common in the swampy area of the settlement.
The political, economic, and social situation in Spain before Columbus sailed.
Columbus landing in San Salvador.
Why did King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella decide to finance Christopher Columbus's trips?
How new settlements affect local ecosystems and native animal populations.
The interaction of human population growth or decline and animal population growth or decline in a specific area.
How has the discovery of penicillin changed the world?
How Spanish culture has affected the culture in Latin American countries and how it was mixed with the natives' culture.
Where are your family roots? And what does your family name mean?
The invention of the cotton gin.
The weather's effect on farming.
How do lifestyle differences affect our lifespans?
The invention and impact of the telegraph.
How did the telegraph operator transcribe a telegraph message?
Report on the history of how tools for refrigeration, sewing, or mowing the lawn have improved over the years.
Immigration's impact on the development of the English language.
How did the metric system get its prefix names?
Why do some mathematical terms come from Greek and others come from Latin?
Does English have anything in common with Greek?
How has a tablet or smartphone changed the way we act or learn? What is remembered on Memorial Day? Why is it a holiday?
Why do we call a deer a deer? Well, did you have an epiphany as you listened? Was there one topic that just struck you as the perfect one? Well, if not, don't worry, because the field is still wide open for possibilities. Perhaps you want to consider a topic that is a little more interesting to you as an individual. That is actually an awesome idea. In that way, your essay will most likely be unique. While other people may even have the same interests as you, no one probably would have the exact same approach to any given topic. In fact, there are a couple of different directions you could take with topics of personal interest. For one, you could choose that one specific topic that most interests you. Don't be afraid to choose a topic because you think it's kind of dumb or you don't think it's worthy of an essay like this. The only way a topic is not worthy of this assignment is if the topic can't be researched. I guess I would also say that the topic that really does not have any positive benefits for you probably shouldn't be considered either. Still, that leaves the field of topics wide open. Perhaps you want to research about a topic of local interest to you. Maybe your hometown is known for something or someone unique, and you want to know more about that subject. If you have the resources available, go ahead and research it. Or maybe you want to know more about your family history. Every family history is filled with interesting stories which we often don't know that much about. My family history includes a passenger on the Mayflower and later a businessman who was a multimillionaire. I wouldn't know about those people if someone had not researched my family history. As you can see, the personal possibilities are endless. By this point, I'm hopeful that you'll be able to at least find a gold nugget of a topic in this discussion, or that you'll at least be able to use some of these general ideas to find your own unique topic. Just don't be afraid to give it some thought. You have some time, so use it to develop the best possible topic for you. Once you have a working list of possible topics, you will need to narrow the list. And even once you make the final decision of a specific topic list, you will need to narrow that list even further. Remember, you will need to fit your final product into 5 paragraphs. Really, only 3 paragraphs are available for your content, since you must also have an introduction and conclusion. In other words, if I were to select my ancestor, the one that was the multimillionaire, as my topic, I would not be able to write about his whole life in just 3 paragraphs. I may want to investigate specifically how he became wealthy, or maybe what he did with all of his money either in his younger life or possibly at the end of his life. In that way, I have narrowed my topic to a more manageable portion. The next step in this process is to locate and evaluate sources that will be used. Finding sources is sometimes just as involved as actually writing the essay. Care must be given to do a good job on this task. The end result of your essay may heavily depend on your findings. You really need to find a variety of sources. Notice that I did not say find a lot of sources. There is a difference. By variety, I mean for you to look in many different areas and not just for different authors and titles. No, you also need to have a variety of formats. I know that the big temptation here is to find all of your sources online. After all, it is the easiest way to research. You don't have to leave your house. There's billions of sites to choose from, and you can still have the social media open while you do your work, right? However, limiting yourself in this way can do more harm than good to your essay. You are automatically casting out hundreds, if not thousands, of possible sources that could benefit you and your essay. For that reason, I am strongly recommending that you find your way to your local library and search there, as well as online, for sources. These are the two largest repositories of information available to most people. Use the internet only if it is absolutely the one and only source of information available to you. Of course, that means that you are currently located in the wilderness somewhere and you are watching me on a battery-powered DVD player or on a direct satellite link on your cell phone. Sorry, not giving you any excuses for not going to the library. Actually, before you get into the car, you will be able to use the internet to your advantage. Prior to your departure, access the library's website, which most likely has a searchable catalog. This tool will help you see what is available at the library before you ever leave home. And now would be a good time to mention that you should be familiar with your library's cataloging system. Typically, libraries today use one of two systems. The Dewey Decimal System, which has been around for longer, uses numbers to categorize the resources available. In contrast, the Library of Congress system uses an alphabetic system to do the same. You should be able to quickly and easily determine which system is used by the call numbers of each source. Chapter 15 of your textbook has more information on these systems for your benefit. And with that, you should have what you need to make that trip to the library. Physically going to the library has its unique advantages. It is definitely more than just a place to find a book and take it home, or a place to study in total quiet. For starters, just walking through the stacks of the library may lead you to a source that you had not previously considered. I have done that on many occasions. I'm walking along on my way to the call number, and I look up just at the right place as I pass by, and lo and behold, there is a book that strikes my interest. Of course, I had to stop and take a look. That could happen to you. There are usually many other resources in the reference section as well. You may want to inquire of a librarian as to what all resources they have available. If you choose a topic of local interest or history, most libraries also have a special reference section on local history which can be accessed by patrons. As you can see, the possibilities are almost as limitless as the topic choices before you. Then, as you choose your sources, you will want to make note of the publication and bibliographic information for each source. You will need to have this information for sources before you complete this assignment. Take a look at Chapter 15 for the particular information you will need to gather about those sources. The information is specifically listed on page 400 of your textbook. Now, to find online resources, you may want to utilize both search engines and web directories. Search engines, like Google, are probably the most familiar to you. They are the most common ways of searching for online information. However, search engines are usually a shot in the dark. In other words, when you enter search parameters, the engine will return anything that matches the words in your search. You are likely to receive a monumental list of possible sites for which you need to visually search possible useful sites within that list. That is where web directories can be useful. These directories act a little bit like a library cataloging system for online sites. If you are looking for a very limited subject, a web directory will possibly help you to find relevant material more quickly. Of course, there are ways to narrow the scope of your searches from a search engine. You could try a Boolean search. You may have seen that term before and wondered what it was. It is a way of adding to your search to narrow the material returned by the engine you are using. For example, if you include the word "and" in all capital letters between the words in your search, the search engine will know to look for sites with both terms in it. You can also use the plus and minus symbols to add or subtract ideas from your search. If you are looking for a specific item, you may try typing an exact phrase and placing quotation marks around the phrase. That tells the search engine to return only sites with exactly the words in your phrase. And one other idea in this section, you may also try limiting the scope of your search by typing in your topic and then typing a space, colon, and domain name. This tells the search engine to look only in a specific site for matches. The fortunate thing for you is that most search engines today automatically incorporate the Boolean search strategies as a normal part of their function. In other words, they attempt to think for you, at least in the area of narrowing your search field. When you find possible sources, you may find that not all of the sources will be helpful or even usable. You really need to evaluate these sources based on certain criteria. I know it's hard to believe, but not everything found online, or for that matter in the library, is accurate and true. The reason that internet sources need to be scrutinized probably a little bit more than books or magazines and other sources is because they do not necessarily have the same stringent regulations regarding publication. A book cannot be published without first being scrutinized for authority, accuracy, currency, and bias. Websites can be published without any editorial concerns and may possibly be filled with errors. They may also exist only to promote another agenda. Fortunately, many websites are subject to careful scrutiny and are very valuable to research. All you need to do is look for the following areas to be certain. Does the website state the author's names? If not, it is a pretty big warning sign that the site is not reputable or accurate. Anyone who takes their time to research and construct a site for legitimate purposes almost always wants to receive the credit for that work, and he will want his name on the site. So look for the author's name. And while I'm on that topic, let me also add in here that some encyclopedic sites may be very reputable, but they won't have the author's individual name just because of the type of site that it is. Then look for the author's credentials. There is a big difference between a site completed by an average person for their own entertainment and serious researchers who wish to disseminate valid data. Is the author a professional in the field he has written about? While it is not a 100% guarantee, usually a person who earns their living in a given field will want to be accurate. With research essays, you cannot afford to carelessly fall for inaccurate information. Also, look to see when the website and its information was posted. It is highly possible that if the website is more than a few years old and it hasn't been updated since its posting, that new information has come to light. Most websites clearly post the dates for the original posting or the date the site was last updated. Finally, evaluate the site for any noticeable or excessive bias. While it is true that all authors will have some bias, as a researcher you do not want to be caught off guard because you used information that proves to be inaccurate because someone had an axe to grind. This is a very real possibility, especially if you choose a topic related to current events. Therefore, do not forget about this step of evaluation. Once your sources are set, then you will need to take notes. When you do start this part of the process, do not haphazardly write down information because it is on the same subject as your topic. You need to be selective in your choice of information. Earlier in this lesson, I told you that you needed to narrow your topic. To do the topic justice in 3 paragraphs requires a narrow topic. For that reason, I told you to pick a particular idea of a general topic. When you take notes, you must write down only information that provides a solution to the dilemma you are inquiring about in your essay. Again, if I were writing about my wealthy relative and I had narrowed my topic to what had happened to his money after he died, then I'm not going to take a bunch of notes about his life. The only reason I would want information about his life is to give some basic foundation for the specific subject. Primarily, my note-taking would dwell on the individuals that governed the distribution of his money and the people or groups who benefited from the money, including myself, as a recipient of an inheritance. The lesson here is to choose carefully on the material that you will need in your paper. Of course, you will want to write down as much information as you can find on your specific subject. Even if you think you might not use the information included in your notes, it is better to have it now and eliminate it later than to need it later and not have it at all. Also, do not copy every note word for word out of the sources. This is a practice that often causes an author to fall into plagiarism. Instead, you should read a section of your source and then, in your own words, write down the information. This helps to make your essay more your work instead of a regurgitation of somebody else's work. Of course, you want to document in your notes the source's bibliographic information for every note you take. You will need that information later on in a later step. Besides those notes, you will also need to have an outline as an organizational tool. Actually, as you take notes, you may find it extremely helpful to have a working outline to guide you. It is possible that this rough format may even help you find sources. At some point, usually after you finish the research gathering process, you will need to form the outline into a more formal outline. Outline forms are discussed on pages 331 and 332 of your textbook. So, did you realize there was so much involved in research? The good thing for you is that the time you have to do this is longer than it was for most writing assignments in this course. You will even have a workday coming up. In the next lesson, we will return to the grammar lessons and prepare for the test for this chapter. However, you should begin working on the very first steps of your essay now. I'll see you in the next lesson for the chapter review.